Morning to you, and it is a great good morning out there, isn't it? Please come in, be seated, take a place wherever it pleases you. We have a few announcements. First, the Wednesday evening class. This wasn't in the newsletter because I didn't tell Cindy about it. Wednesday evening class. We have finished our study, for the time being, of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. Next Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., we will begin to read and discuss Swami Ranganathananda's book, Divine Grace. It's only 83 pages long, but believe me, it is action-packed. It will take us a while to discuss it. A couple of reminders. First of all, we will celebrate July 4th here in the chapel, as far as we know at this point, unless things get much more serious, and they may, but until further notice, we're celebrating July 4th here in the chapel, and then in the monastery, and perhaps even out in our new patio on that day. So that's reminder number one. Reminder number two is that there is our regular summer closure coming up in August. The center will be closed during August. There will be no classes or Sunday talks. Evening arati will continue as usual, and the Chandi hymns will be chanted in Sanskrit and in English. That's done on Zoom, so there won't be any difficulty with that. And then I'd really like to encourage each and every one of you who can to come next Saturday, which is June 11th. It is Seva Saturday for this month. So if you can manage to come, please do. It means a lot to us to have people here to help us care for the center and keep things looking nice and welcoming. And as we say, this is the Master's house. Let us be thoughtful, careful, and thorough. All right. Is there any other announcement that might have been made that wasn't made? All right. Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karava Vahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and beneficence to all of us and to all beloved beings everywhere. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, take my hand. Without thee I may fall. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, pull me on. O Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may stray, without thee I may stray. O Lord, take my hand, O Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may fall, without thee I may stray. O Lord, draw me near, seat me by thy fire. O Lord, draw me near, seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all, thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, take my hand, O Lord, pull me on. O Lord, draw me near, seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all, thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, fill this heart. 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 Thou art my all in all, thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. Om, Amen. You will hear an echo of that verse, O Lord, fill this heart, a little bit later on in this talk. June is a month for study of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. A Bhakti yogi, a bhakta, establishes a devotional relationship with God through study, prayer, ritual, and worship. This often begins with a feeling of reverence or awe, which may slowly grow into a conviction that everything without exception manifests God's power and grace. As a bhakta, you practice giving every action, thought, emotion, perception, and tendency a Godward turn. All your energies and attributes, both positive and negative, are offered to the divine presence. Your prayer is for self-surrender and ultimately union with your beloved. That's a brief description of the Bhakta's path. This morning we're going to talk about the Bhakta's path in a very special sense. And the title of this morning's talk is Something Wrong with Your Mantra? Now, you've heard this before, but I think it needs to be said just about every time we offer one of these talks. This is not meant as personal instruction for you. It's not my place. This is information for you to use as you see fit. There is no dogma here. There is no musts. There is no must. There are no shoulds. This is simply a way of doing what Swami Vivekananda mentioned when he said, each soul is potentially divine. The goal of human life is to manifest this divinity. This talk this morning describes one way. He talked of 4: work, worship, psychic control, and philosophy. He said, use one or more or all 4 of these and be free. So we're going to talk about a special aspect of the Bhakta's path, one aspect of the Bhakta's path. And as I said, this is something for you to take from as you wish. It is not meant that you should or must do this in any way. So I'm going to tell you a story. One morning, while drying breakfast dishes in the kitchen of the Hollywood Monastery, a monk began grumbling. Soon, some of the other monks joined in. Swami Krishnananda was washing dishes at the main sink with his back to the grumblers. After a few moments, the Swami slowly turned, leveled a very direct gaze at the lead complainer, and asked, "Something wrong with your mantra?" Krishnananda was a disciple and personal assistant for Swami Prabhavananda. He knew and came to embody the power of the mantra his guru had given him. It was said that the Swami was always chanting his mantra under his breath. His reminder to the younger monks that morning, while sharp, was well-meaning. He wanted them to share the joy and wisdom that come from chanting the mantra, chanting the name of the Lord unceasingly. This morning, we will further discuss the meaning of this incident and other aspects of the mantra as one of the greatest spiritual gifts you can receive. So before we go on, is there any comment or question about what has been said? Okay. Here's another little story about the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is one of the greatest living masters of meditation. One year at his birthday, one of his students gave the Dalai Lama a big box with a ribbon around it. When the Dalai Lama opened the box, he found that it was empty inside. "Aha!" he exclaimed, "just what I wanted. Just what I wanted." As we know, one of the ways we remain bound to the world is by wanting something from it. As we will hear, one of the powers of the mantras is to automatically free us from the desires, the burning desires that we feel for the world and what it offers, and therefore remain unfree. Sri Chaitanya said, "Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched." Now here's this freedom. "And quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within." This morning, we will define what a mantra is and explore the relationship between mantra, peace of mind, and concentration, and describe how concentration can evolve into meditation and its fruits. Swami Vivekananda said, "Repeating the names of God, japam, has wonderful power. You must go on with your japam, whatever direction the mind takes." What did he mean, whatever direction the mind takes? We start with instructions for how to practice the mantra from our teacher. But each of us being unique, utterly unique, will ultimately find our own way into spiritual growth and spiritual grace. And that's what he meant by whatever direction the mind takes. But he said, it's prefaced by saying, no matter what direction your mind takes, keep practicing the mantra, doing the japa, because the energy is coming from there. Swami Prabhavananda added, make japam. Mantra contains the revealing power of the word Om and other names of God or Goddess and or the incarnations of God. That's from his book, How to Know God. What is meant by this revealing power? And how does that power help you overcome the world? Overcome the world is freeing you from this system of desire. This is from Realizing God by Swami Prabhavananda. When you receive a mantra, the sacred word, whatever the chosen ideal, the word Om is added to it to show that the chosen ideal represents represents the eternal reality, the unchangeable, imperishable Brahman or Atman. Yet we do not insist that you cannot realize God without the help of the word Om. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. That's a quote from Sri Chaitanya. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. We must remember that the name and the chosen ideal are identical. And this leads to Swami Prabhavananda's first instruction for meditation. The chosen ideal is you yourself, no different. Learn to feel that living presence. Now, does he mean that you yourself is the stardust spacesuit you wear? Certainly not. It means that which is resident within you, that created this stardust spacesuit, according to Sri Krishna, for its own purposes, thereby sanctions its experiences, including your experience of higher and higher reality. That's what's meant by you and the chosen ideal are identical. The name, you yourself, and the chosen ideal are identical. In other words, the moment you chant the name of the Lord, the presence of the Lord is there. In other words, the moment you chant the name of the Lord, the presence of the Lord is there. In fact, it was always there. You are simply drawing your attention to it. The mantra is the reality. The mantra is the reality. Vedanta teaches us to discriminate between the unreal and the real. Patanjali tells us to replace lower truth with higher truth. As we just heard, the mantra is the reality. It is the real in the form of sound. It is the real in the form of sound, Shabda Brahman in Sanskrit. Sound Brahman, Shabda Brahman. Remember, Brahman and Atman are interchangeable and identical words. So to overcome the world and replace the lower with the higher, to be in the presence of the real, we have only to displace whatever is going on in the mind with the mantra in order to overcome the world, to replace the lower with the higher, to be in the presence of the real. We have only to displace whatever is going on in the mind with the mantra. Now, all of this is very provocative. It seems on the surface hard to believe. Does that raise any question in your mind, any concern? Do you have any comment you'd like to make? Anyone, please.
Yeah, could you repeat what you said about displacing something in the mind with the mantra to do something?
Yes, we have all kinds of things going on in the mind constantly. When we begin to chant the mantra, it displaces whatever was going on in the mind. The mind will attempt to bring it back. It has its own agenda. As the teacher Schwartz says, this left mind is hardwired and very intelligent. So it has its own agenda and its own way of being. The secret behind what he is saying is that which created this left mind is not hardwired and is far more intelligent. As a matter of fact, it is intelligence itself. And so when we displace those things that are going on in the mind with the mantra, something very remarkable happens. We are in the presence of what the mantra represents. But the left mind, which is the creature of Maya, the three gunas, it is one of the 24 cosmic principles, the mind, that create the reality that we experience. It's not that it's a bad thing. It simply mustn't become the dominant thing. So we replace or displace what is going on in that activity with the mantra. Thank you for that very pertinent question. Anything else from anyone, either here or on Zoom?
Two things.
Yes, dear.
Mantra for spiritual people or spiritual aspirants. Suppose somebody is not that religious or spiritual, for that person, affirmations, good affirmations that lead them to a positive aspect of life or promoting something good, that kind of affirmations. Some people start their day with that. So I'm just comparing that for non-believers, that works as well.
Very good.
And second, when you say, what's your revealing power? I also think that it's a redeeming power.
Yes, of course.
Because whatever you are going through, it works as a healing power.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, dear. Well, the affirmations, of course, this power of affirmation is there. There's a wonderful book that was published many decades ago called The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yeah.
And it is, it's worth your time to read that book. Affirmations do have a great power, but they do not have the power of the mantra, because the mantra is indeed the very essence of the reality behind all of this itself. Thank you, dear. Anything else from anyone? All right.
Brother Shankar,
Yes.
I was thinking mantra is a cousin of meditation in the sense that usually mind left to itself always runs in diverse directions. And that is our biggest problem with the mind that God has blessed us with. But at the same time, mantra, when split mantayate, it protects the mind.
Yeah.
It's a shield on the mind so that it doesn't go astray, but learns how to focus. And once you focus like a sunbeam, unless focus, it doesn't burn. It has got to focus. But mantra, especially when it is a significant repetition of a significant thought, it is going to be even more protective.
Yes. Thank you. As it says in Proverbs, the name of the Lord is a tower or citadel. People run to it for protection, for refuge, just as you said. And in terms of what the mind does left to itself, you anticipate me, sir. Thank you for that. Your mind has some very inauspicious habits. It is ever ready to hide the reality, your true self. It is ever ready to hide the reality, your true self, from you by doing these things. Having conversations with people who are not there with you at the moment. Have you noticed? You'll have conversations with people who aren't there. Well, most often these take a form of an argument. You're arguing with that person somehow. And it's a wonderful, wonderful little game we play with ourselves because, of course, you will win. The other person isn't there. But our mind does that, doesn't it? We have conversations with people who aren't there. What a lovely little game. Oh, and the second thing that we so often do is we worry about the future, as if we had any idea what's really going to happen in the future. But there's all kinds of worry that goes on, and we recall and rehearse the past. We recall and rehearse the past. Good things that happened to us, bad things that happened to us. So our mind isn't here in the moment. It's off in the past, or off in the future, off in the past. It's not with us at the moment. And we daydream about pleasures or things that painful experiences you may have. Mark Twain, ever good with a fine little saying, says, during my life, thousands of terrible things have occurred to me, most of which never happened. Thousands of things have occurred to me, most of which never happened. All of us know these habits of the mind. They're very inauspicious. And the power of the mantra is to overcome this display of Maya. When you find your mind doing any of these useless things, you can immediately replace the unwanted thoughts by the repetition of a mantra. And once you get used to using the mantra, this becomes habitual. You will find your mind doing one of these inauspicious things and say, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to feel what I feel when I do this. And so you begin to repeat the mantra. This can be done anywhere, at any time. It really can be. You're sitting in the doctor's office. You're having the anxiety that comes with what's going to happen with the doctor, and so on. That's quite natural. White coat syndrome. So what do? You replace the thoughts and the worries and the concerns with the mantra, and you find you calm down. The mantra is very powerful because it is the reality. Sri Ramakrishna sang this. He sang this during a visit to his devotee Keshav Chandra Sen on April 2nd, 1882. The lyrics are, I drink no ordinary wine, but wine of everlasting bliss. As I repeat my mother Kali's name, it intoxicates my mind, and people take me to be drunk. First, my guru gives me molasses for the making of the wine. My longing is the ferment to transform it. Knowledge, the maker of the wine, prepares it for me then. And when it is done, my mind imbibes it from the bottle of the mantra, taking the mother's name to make it pure. Drink of this wine, says Ram Prasad, and the 4 fruits of life are yours. The 4 fruits of life being health, prosperity, happiness, and ultimately freedom. Ram Prasad's spiritual ideal, of course, was Mother Kali. Ramakrishna shared his deep devotion to her. Yet, as Sri Chaitanya tells us, any aspect of the divine presence can be at the heart of a mantra. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name, thy power resides. In the Christian tradition, there is a very powerful prayer. It's called the Jesus Prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Now, these seed words, Om was mentioned, a seed word, Bija, these seed words, where are they in this mantra? There are 2. The word Christ or Christos. Christ is a Bija, is a seed word. It is the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. This is Christ, Christos. And the second is the word mercy. Mercy is a much misunderstood, or it isn't so much misunderstood as it isn't fully understood. It is a very powerful word and means much more than it has come to mean in our ordinary everyday language now. If you want to know what I mean, simply repeat that Jesus prayer for a while, alone by yourself. Repeat it in the heart, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, and you will begin to feel the power of the word Christ and the power of the word mercy. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. What does this mean? This power. Japam all by itself can dispel the darkness and ignorance of Maya, the illusion that this world of everyday experience is reality. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean. This is the opening line of Chaitanya's prayer. What does it mean, the mirror of the heart wiped clean? This is the products of Maya, the left mind, the products of our constant hypnosis with the organs of perception and the organs of action, with the gross and the subtle elements, and all of their permutations, all of their constant changing. It's a magic show. But as Swami Prabhupada said, everyone loves the magic. No one wants to know the magician. Everyone loves the magic. No one wants to know the magician. The magician is in the mantra, is the essence of the mantra, that which creates and manifests all this is at the heart of the mantra, and repetition of it, as Swami Sridharananda once said, and he said this to me, the mantra is like a soft cotton glove that slowly and slowly wipes the mirror of the heart clean. And when that job is finished, what is revealed? Not only the perfect and brilliant image of the reality in the mirror, but the beautiful Belgian frame in which the mirror is contained. Now, this was just a metaphor he was using for our being. The frame that contains this reality can be pure in itself. Repetition of the mantra, Sri Ramakrishna said, will make you like an expert musician that cannot hit a wrong note, or like an expert dancer that cannot make one wrong step. So this is the power of the mantra. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean. When the mirror of the heart is wiped clean, it accurately reflects the reality, the witness self, the Atman. So once again, let's pause for a bit and see if there's anything at all, anything this. There are many of us here who've been practicing long years. There are some of you who've just begun. You were initiated recently by Swami Sarvadevananda. Let's hear from both of those groups. What has been your experience? What is it? Why do you continue to practice your mantra and this form of meditation?
I like that proverb of Solomon as a way to think of the mantra. Think of the Lord as a citadel that people run to for protection.
The name of the Lord, yes, the Lord, but the name of the Lord is a citadel to which people take refuge, run for protection. That's in Proverbs, yes. Yes, in the back.
So after reading all that, or whatever I've been reading and hearing, and practicing the mantra, I feel that it's like a Midas touch. Like you touch something and it turns to gold. So the mantra is like a Midas touch, and then your mind is like having dungeons and dungeons of rooms, and wherever you go, it just keeps on turning everything into gold.
Beautifully said, Raji. Beautifully said. Yes, Sri Ramakrishna said, though the rooms may be dark 1,000 years, you strike a match. Does the darkness go away little by little? No, it goes away all at once. So that's the same idea. Here, Rajiva simply said, it turns it all to gold, shining gold. Anything else from anyone? Please.
Brother Shankara, this is Haima. Can you hear me, Brother Shankara?
We certainly can.
Oh, okay. Along with all the things all of you said about mantra, I want to add a couple of things. It also filters or pushes the negative energy that's coming towards me. And also it connects me with my divine. That's additional things which I'm adding to, which I feel very powerful.
So would you repeat that, please?
Yes. Along with everything all of you mentioned, all the positive things about mantra, I just wanted to add a couple of things. It is mantra filters all the negative energy that is coming towards me, and it will not allow it to come towards me. And mantra makes me connect to my divine, makes me focus on myself, my divine, since I'm worshiping on my divine.
Beautifully said, Haima.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Yes, it does transform the negative. It as Patanjali says, and by the way, Patanjali recommends this practice of devotion to the divine in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. He said, it is one of the natural ways to replace the lower with the higher. Haima just said it doesn't allow the lower or the negative to reach me because it is so much more powerful. That presence as contained in the mantra is so much more powerful than the negative aspects of Maya around us. That doesn't mean that every day is going to be blissful.
That's right.
It doesn't mean we're not ever going to have a negative experience. But as we'll get to a little bit later in this talk, it does transform everything.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Haima. Anyone else? Yes, Cindy.
This has been said before, but I like the analogy that starting to say your mantra to filter out, as Haima said, or just shove all your other thoughts to the side is like changing the channel on the television. And look how I did that. Boy, am I old.
Those of us who are.
I didn't even think about that.
But most of us knew we were right there.
For-
Clonk, and it makes that noise, clonk. Anyway, I'm old. So, but it is about what what you're giving your attention to. And sometimes you were alluding to this earlier about, being in the midst of like a conversation in your head with somebody who's not there or other thoughts. And then you catch yourself and you just start saying your mantra instead, and all that other stuff.
Yes.
It's like, you change the channel. Oh, I like this show. This is the one I want.
Right.
Here.
Yeah, this is a much better show. And it becomes a show for you. It shows you things. That's the revealing power. The revealing power of the mantra. It makes sattva, the revealing power of the three gunas. It encourages it to be predominant, and things become known to you that you otherwise would not know. You might get inklings of them. You might get brief experiences of them, peak experiences, so on. But that's not knowledge. That's just a brief moment. Yes, Uma.
So other expressions come to mind. It's like a check and balance system. When your mind is full of such scattered thoughts, scattered brain, what we call, and it holds us as if it's like a stop, divine stop sign. If
Mhm.
you're on a wrong track, turn right. So she calls it switching the channel.
Mhm.
I call it whoa, stop right here and turn the right direction. So it
Yes.
takes you from wrong to the right direction.
Good, good,
And
good.
once you train your mind to repetition is the key, as Krishna says to Arjuna. When Arjuna says, "Well, how do I focus my mind?" And it says, mind is like a monkey. It hops from one thought to another to another. But abhyasa, to count there, abhyas, practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
So bring it back, bring it back. And that's after years of doing it, it becomes automatic.
Yes. As Sri Ramakrishna puts it, this hardwired, intelligent thing that hops from one thought to the other. Once the practice becomes mature, and the ego is a ripe rather than an unripe ego, he says it becomes like a shy child and retreats into the shadows and no longer insists on itself in the way that it did. Yes.
Brother, I also felt that sometimes we we are doing a task and we exclusively focus on the task. So I felt like in situations where we need to focus on something, we can still keep the mantra awareness in the background, just like we are aware of our body, but we can still do everything. So similarly, that doesn't require a lot of energy, but you can still continue to do your stuff and then be aware of the mantra.
Yes. As a matter of fact, there's a formulation that's in the scriptures. It says the worldly tasks need only take about 20% of our attention, that the other 80% is either goes idle or we can put it to work doing these things. And as you said, it's going on in the background, just as there are many, many operations going on in an automobile. We see the automobile turning its wheels and going forward. Many, 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 many things are going on to make that happen. So we're, with our very little bit of our attention, steering the machine as it goes forward, but the rest of it that is going on.
And we can even talk to people while driving. That's amazing, right?
Well, you can chant your mantra while you're driving also. Yes, please.
I'll share a technique that was given to me by my teacher many years ago, and that is when in a situation that is causing a lot of stress, that I visualize the mantra wrapping around me. I recite it.
Ooh.
And so just up and down, I just keep saying it and visualize it wrapping around me and protecting me. And then another technique is if I'm in a situation with someone where I feel fear or a negative type of energy, I visualize the mantra as flowers and I toss it out shower that person with the flowers.
Oh, how beautiful! Honoring the divine in them, and that's gorgeous. And I love the idea of the mantra wrapping around you. Armor, I mean.
I do it to my car when I feel in me in my car when I feel any kind of threatened in traffic at all, I wrap it around us.
Building your own citadel in the moment. Yes. Yes, Reggie.
Brother, I just came up with a new technique yesterday. I would like to know.
Rajiv is ever creative. He really is.
And why does distraction occur? It's because inside me there are thousands of Rajivs and everybody's clamoring for attention. Oh, here's my agenda, pick me up. And what if I just imagine all these Rajivs are holding their hands together and all of them decide, yes, we're going to focus on the mantra now. Let's do it together.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Rajiv just said there are thousands of Rajivs inside. This echoes a remark made by Walt Whitman and recently used as the title of a song by Bob Dylan. And that is, Walt Whitman wrote a book of poetry called Leaves of Grass. He says many, many, many things in that book. And at one point, someone, a reader, stopped him and said, Mr. Whitman, I've read your book and you contradict yourself. And Whitman thought about it a few moments and said, I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes. And that's true of all of us. We contain the infinity. We are the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent divine being. That is the essence that is revealed to us by this practice of mantra meditation. Slowly and slowly over years, but nevertheless, it becomes increasingly apparent. Anything else from anyone?
Yes. You trying to jump in, Amadas?
Yes, I love the word that Jaime used as filter, and then Shankara, you just used the word armor. I'd like to offer for myself, and I think it's in part, large part, because I'm a highly sensitive man. I use my mantra as a shield, and I found it particularly useful during the presidency of 45 to shield myself from the chaos and to let the mantra reflect the chaos back out to the world instead of getting it on myself, but which happened a little bit more often than I would like to admit, but it was good exercise. And now my mantra is even better at protecting me from the chaos of the world than it was before 45 took office. So
Yes.
there's good and bad in all of it.
Look at the power of practice. Yes, sometimes practice is something that we do because we think it's a good idea. Sometimes circumstances make it very auspicious. It kind of forces it on us. If I'm going to protect myself, I'd better use the tool that I've been given, or tools. Anything?
Brother Shankara?
Yes.
In my experience, positive thinking alone is very temporary. When you read some great quote or whatever, you feel great for a few moments and then back to the patterns of thinking. It's only by the repetition of mantra that these, whatever we have read in positive thinking books becomes more real or more permanent. I remember this from, I think, one of the books I read, that Holy Mother had said that it's like being an unconscious person being carried on a stretcher. It's only when you actually wake up from that, whatever it was, that you realize that you've been carried.
Very, very well said.
Mantra does carry us, I think.
Yes, the power of positive thinking purifies the left mind. It is good. It purifies. The mantra purifies the heart, the real seat of our being. So I'll go ahead with the rest of this. Repetition of the mantra will require long and regular practice, which the first fruit that is yielded is concentration, which is defined very carefully by Patanjali as the ability to hold a single thought or a single image for 12 seconds. This is defined as concentration. Concentration, when mature, may evolve into meditation. Meditation is defined as the ability to hold the same thought, image, whatever it is you're focusing on as your spiritual practice. The mantra is one aspect. Holding that for 12 times 12 seconds, or 2 minutes, 24 seconds, 144 seconds. Now that requires real practice, but it does yield tremendous fruits. Question: what did the meditation teacher say to the businessman when starting to teach him meditation? Answer: I want you to take 3 deep, slow breaths, and then very slowly, let go of your cell phone. It takes us quite a while to let go of the cell phone of the left mind. Meditation is sinking deeper and deeper into silence, which means fewer and fewer thought waves in the mind. In this silence, you first become aware of, then come to know. In this silence, you first become aware of, then come to know, then fully experience the living presence of your chosen ideal, the witness self, the Atman. As thought waves subside, this is revealed. And at some unexpected time, it will totally fill your heart, leaving no room for any other thought, feeling, or perception. This is Sabikalpa Samadhi. This is Sabikalpa Samadhi. As I said earlier, this is the transformative experience. This is when, having experienced this Sabikalpa Samadhi, where no other feeling, thought, or perception, but this one great thought of the presence itself occupies your awareness. Nothing is the same after that. Doesn't mean that every moment is joyous, doesn't mean that every day goes smoothly, but your reaction to these things changes. And this is why Swami Swahananda said, the true measure of spiritual progress is change in behavior. We salute again and again that divine presence. May it shine in our hearts, manifest there in all its glory, and dispel all darkness and ignorance. Here's a visualization. This was spoken by Swami Vivekananda to use as you're chanting your mantra. Think of a space in your heart, and in the midst of that space, think that a flame is burning. Think of that flame as your own soul, and inside the flame is another effulgent light, and that is the soul of your soul, God. So, as you're chanting your mantra, if you don't have some other instruction that you're following from your guru as to what to visualize, you can visualize this flame and this effulgent light within the flame. And together, this sound Brahman and visual Brahman will be powerful indeed. So anything else before we wind it up? Anything from anyone? Yes. Well, this was Vivekananda. And here's what he said. By the way, these notes are always on the website. You can always look them up. This is a visualization by Vivekananda. And you can do this while you're chanting your mantra. Think of a space in your heart. And in the midst of that space, think that a flame is burning. Think of that flame as your own soul. And inside the flame is another effulgent light. And that is the soul of your soul, God. These, of course, are metaphors using the subtle aspects of our organs of perception. There's the gross aspects, and then there's the subtle aspects.
But it's exactly what you say. Reminds me about 30, 40 years ago, when we just were meeting with small group. That time, Swami Vishayananda.
Nishrayashananda, yes. The South America, the South Africa.
Yes. And he gave this metaphor. Think of your heart as a lotus in which emerges a beautiful flame or effulgent light.
Yes.
It lightens the heart.
Yes.
And then concentrate on that and go into your sadhana, your mantra. So it was beautifully made.
Yes. These instructions, these metaphors, they go back to very ancient times in both the Sanatana Dharma lineages and traditions, and therefore in the Upanishads and other commentaries and scriptures, and also in the Judeo-Christian tradition. The mystical teachings of Judaism are in the Kabbalah. The mystical teachings of Christianity were pretty much excluded from the canonical Gospels taught, but they are there in the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Thomas, for example, and then the Gospel of the Beloved Companion. So it's not as if these things are the exclusive property of any of the great traditions. As it says in the Rig Veda, truth is one, sages call it by many names. And this happened in India, in Europe, in the Middle and Far East. I mean, if you read Lao Tzu, the great teachings of Lao Tzu and Confucius, the Taoists and the Confucians, the message is the same. They come at it a little differently. Everyone does, from their own time and place, the language and culture in which they're dealing. So anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankar?
Yes, dear.
Not only it has happened, what you say in different parts of the world, it happened right now here.
Yes.
That the same thought, we have the same convergence of opinion, same thought, but we express it in different ways. And the beauty of the mind, when you put it together, we all know how to infer the quintessence of the everything and apply to our own way of thinking. But the second thing which comes to my mind with this variety of opinions, that the word mantra has also another meaning in Sanskrit, consult. So that is why a consultant is called mantri.
Mhm.
A king's counsel is called mantri. So you consult. And whom do you consult? Your own self.
Mhm.
And that's what you said, reminded me of in the book of on religions by Yushel Smith. He gives example in basically says that finally the devil found out the secret of happiness, but he did not want the human beings to get it. So whom will he consult? So he went to God, that I have got this secret, but I don't want the human beings to find it out.
Mhm.
So what should I do? In the depth of the ocean, on the top of the mountains, in the deep, thick forest, where should I hide it? And God smiled, he says, there is one place human beings will never reach it, in his own heart.
Yes. Yes. Well, this is the revealing power of the mantra.
Yes.
It will dispel the spell
Yes.
left to us by the devil in that story. Beautiful story.
Yeah, that is absolutely deciding point. This is not on the focus of what we are thinking.
It's funny though. Very getting
Anyone else? And please, if you want to speak, you need to raise your hand. Yes, please.
Just on a very practical level, if I may put it this way, what the mantra does, of course, for me, and for what to us, I think it's something like this. That is, it provides us with a certain kind of, you use the word transformative, that's what you use. I would like to add another word to it, and that is, it transports us to a world which is quite different from what we see every day. So it has a transformative effect, and it has a transportive effect as well. Plus, what it does, of course, it provides us with a certain kind of stillness in the vortex of activities. It provides us with that kind of psychological stillness and spiritual stillness. And
Yes.
something that I believe most of us need in our everyday life.
And that is practical indeed. I love the word transport. It transports us. It carries us to another place. And having been carried there, we are transformed. And it is the silence into which we sink that is transportive. It's a very strange paradox. But the more we sink deeply into ourselves, the more we are carried away from the everydayness. Thank you. Very nicely said. Anything else?
Sometimes, Swamiji, Brother Shankara, doesn't it happen that even if we are, suppose we are used to it, we have practice, and we do this japam, mantra, all that. But sometimes the mind is so tricky or confused or determined to prevail. So it stops. Silence is the button. And sometimes it happens too that we know what is wrong in our thinking as we are going this way and that way. And mantra usually helps, but sometimes we ourselves silence it.
Swami Prabhavananda said, don't let that happen. Don't let it be silenced. He said there are times when you must go to a place where no one else can hear you and shout your mantra, so that the feedback loop of it going in your ear as well as going out as sound, it goes in your ear. the feedback loop will overpower that tendency of the mind to want to silence it. And he meant this very literally.
Swami Prabhupada said that.
Prabhupada said that, yes. You must go someplace where no one can hear you. If your mind is being so resistant and it is being so troubled, go someplace where no one can hear you and shout your mantra. And he meant that quite literally. And some of you may know the name Christopher Isherwood.
Yeah.
Christopher Isherwood was a companion, friend, and great colleague and collaborator with Swami Prabhupada. And although I didn't hear him say it personally, he said it to people who related it to me, that he himself actually did this from time to time. Because he had a very strong, powerful streak of worldliness. It's described in his book, My Guru and His Disciple.
I think the co-wrote the Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm?
So he wrote with Prabhupada the Gita book.
Oh, yes, the Gita and other books, yes. Yes. He was Swami Prabhupananda's consultant on how to put things best in modern English. Yes, someone in the back.
Brother Shankara, yes. I have a story I'd like to share that I think illustrates the importance of the mantra. The story goes, there's a man in India, he's a carpet cleaner, and he cleans carpets in the Ganges River. One day while he's cleaning carpets, he comes across a stone. The stone is different, it shines and it's very hard. And the stone turns out it's a diamond. And so he takes it and he uses it to clean carpets because he has never seen a diamond before in his life. And he finds that it works well cleaning carpets and does the job better than regular stones. But then one day someone comes by and says, "Oh my gosh, look at this diamond you have, I'll buy it from you, I'll pay you 9,000 rupees. And he says, "Oh, that's so much money, I don't know if I'll keep it for myself, I'll see who else, what the value is." And so eventually he comes across a king, and the king says, "I'll give you 90 million rupees for it." And the idea being that the mantra is like that diamond. We all use it differently. We all have different values of it, but it was always valuable. And I just it's a story that came to mind.
Well, thank you. That is a wonderful story about, yes, and that story is told in various ways. Sri Ramakrishna tells it in the gospel about the person finding a diamond and not knowing its value and so on. And the mantra is said to be the distillation of the spiritual treasure of the Incarnation, of God among human beings. Their spiritual treasure is distilled into the mantra, and it becomes this treasure box beyond price, this priceless treasure box. And as I said in the beginning, when I gave the caveat about this, you're not expected to believe this. You're not expected to do this. If this attracts you, then try it. But don't try it for a week. Don't try it for a month. If you're going to make the change from not using a mantra to having a mantra and using it, and we can talk about this privately, but Brahmananda said to someone who he had given instructions to, including the mantra, he said that because the person was saying, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this, for a little while. And Brahmananda said, not a little while. Give it 2 to 3 years. And if it doesn't work, then you may come back. And if you do not get the results that I promise, he said, do it for that length of time. If you do not, that I promise, then you may come back and slap my face. So it's not something that one takes up casually.
Question.
Yes,
So
Tom.
what results did he promise?
A transformation of attitude and character, and an emergence of bliss in the heart and peace in the mind. That's the summary of what he said. That's what he promised. Now, we must all understand, and we all do understand, that that's not a continuous every moment thing. But when we have the mantra, as has been pointed out, not just from here, but from others who have spoken, you have resort to the mantra. And it becomes, as it's said in that quote from the Proverbs, it becomes a citadel, a refuge for you. And its power, as you've practiced it over the years, becomes available to you. And then finally, this experience, and it is an experience, there's the experience, the experiencer, and the experienced. It is still within time, space, and causation, but it is called Sabikalpa Samadhi. It is the unquestionable experience that the divine alone is the reality, and that somehow you are a part of this. That won't come in 3 years, probably. But it will come. So that's, yes.
I remember your, when in classes or something, the words that everything yields to earnestness.
Yes.
If we have that earnestness and faith, I think, and the mind is resistant, somehow the method appears to overcome that resistance.
Yes.
I mean, it has happened to me many times that somewhere from my own within, something comes to help, whether it is somebody who comes to meditate or whatever, and that helps me to overcome that obstacle that the mind presents.
Yes, this everything yields to earnestness is a quote from Nisargadatta Maharaj. Nisargadatta Maharaj, of course, is a, so to speak, direct path teacher of Advaita Vedanta, Jnana Yoga. And he said, everything yields to earnestness. Yes, Rajiv?
Brother, there's all these spiritual benefits, but if I were, there's also this part where like we are like awake, we're not really awake, and I feel like it's like a, let's divide our awakened awareness into, let's say, 100 frames, and if we analyze that, probably we are asleep for 60% of that or even more. And then with this awareness, what happens is there's a lot of consciousness that gets, it becomes more powerful, like you're much more aware, and then your mental strength increases. And then that can give rise to like, it can bring forth gifts that can be used in the worldly sense as well, which may not be the ultimate objective of the.
Well, of course, it yields capabilities that help in our everyday existence. If you learn to concentrate better, how much is that going to yield in your everyday life? You're more careful, you're more thorough, you're more thoughtful, because you can focus your attention. You're in the habit of focusing your attention. So yes, there are many practical aspects to this. And there are, how many books are on the shelves? Thousands and thousands and thousands of books. so many ways to describe this. I mean, there are thousands of books just on the subject of mantra meditation. How many ways to describe this? But as Sri Ramakrishna said, once you have your instructions, it's like a letter you receive in the mail. And a friend has said, will you please do this for me? And he says, buy this, do this, then send it all to me. Once you've read the letter and done what's been said, you don't need to keep the letter, and you don't need to read more letters. There's, you do what's, so it isn't that it's wrong to read books or listen to videos or any of those things. I have extravagantly enjoyed this new album of Bob Dylan's Rough and Rowdy Ways, because he so beautifully says some deep truths from his point of view. So it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that at the same time, follow your instructions. You're not going to become a chess master if you casually play chess once a week. You're not. You'll never be rated 2000 if you do that. But if you read books about chess, get the instructions on how each of the play pieces move, and then practice, within 7 or 10 years, you will be a chess master. The exact same thing is true of mantra meditation, which is what we're discussing today. There are many other techniques as well. We'll discuss those as the months go on. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga. This is what Swami Vivekananda said. By work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, one or more or all of these, do them and be free. Because that's what we want. That's the purpose of doing this. It isn't as if we're doing it because it's a good idea. We're doing it to be free, to be happy, truly free and truly happy. And that only comes from the knowledge that emerges from within as we practice one or more of these ways of accessing the reality and dispelling the unreality, the lower truths. Anything else, dears?
I like that expression, learning by heart.
Yes.
That's so much. If, as you say, technicality, methods, instructions, of course, help take you so far. But if there is not ardent desire from heart, Shraddha, what we call in Sanskrit, that deep urge from the heart, like Ramakrishna said, that if you have that Shraddha, deep faith, and you want to cry for God, you want to do anything. So when there are two persons say, one is perfectly do japa and mantra and follows the technique, and one does it with full heart and need of the heart, that I want to, just as the gentleman say, transport you, not just change you, but from one side of the spectrum to another.
Yes.
That is so wonderful that without that inner real wish, things don't just fall in place. So Shraddha is very important.
Thank you, dear. Absolutely true. When I have something I need to say, I need to leave the center today about 1:15 to go to a concert. In the meantime, those of you who are here with us today, I have a special darshan of Swami Prabhavananda. Swami Prabhavananda used to walk each day, morning and afternoon, wearing a gray overcoat. I have that overcoat. It's given as a gift. I would like to take that overcoat from where it's kept and take the right sleeve of that overcoat and touch it to your head. This is what Swami Prabhavananda would do. This was his right hand was extended from the sleeve of that coat, and he would do this when to each of us went walking with him, morning or afternoon or both. He would take his 3 fingers and he would press them against your forehead. It is understood that the tanmatras, the subtle vibrations of a holy person, remain in the garments that they wore. So if you would like the darshan of the Swami's coat, please come into the monastery and we'll share that with you. So I need to, for the reason that I said that I need to leave at 1:15, I would like to conclude this now with our lovely chant as translated for us by our beloved Swami Yogeshananda. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let this infinite, universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace and beneficence. May it shower on us all and all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai, Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our mother and father. So those of you who wish to join us in the monastery, please do that. I will get out the Swami's coat and we'll take care of that darshan right away. Then those of you who wish can stay for snacks and we'll then.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, dears.
Thank you.
Shankara, what is the book for the Wednesday class now?
Divine Grace. There are copies of it on the spinner rack out here. Very inexpensive little book.